Hi everyone. So like we were saying last week, there's lots of different ways to participate in science, right? You can be a biologist or a physicist or a physician, right? Or even a horticulturalist.
How's it pronounced?
It's hard to say, horticulturalist, right? Yeah. Somebody who's interested in the science of plants, right? Mm-hmm. But almost anyone can engage in science, right? Our favorite way to engage in science is what?
Baking!
Baking. We love baking, right? And there's a lot of science that goes into baking. We take a bunch of ingredients, right? And we measure them out exactly, right? And we combine them in just the right way. And then all the small individual little ingredients combine into this one great big tasty bread, right? So, right, today we're gonna bake a loaf of bread. And when we bake, we're creating chemical reactions, right? Not just one, but many, right? Multiple things happen. The first reaction, right? We see carbon dioxide coming from the yeast, this ingredient over here, right? This yeast uses up the heat from the oven and all the other ingredients like milk around it to eat up the sugar, right? And that creates a gas, and that gas is what creates the nice light airiness inside the bread. But enough about the science of it. Let's bake.
To make bread, you will need milk, sugar, yeast, flour, unsalted butter, salt, and a large Ziploc bag.
Yep.
First, what you're going to do is you're going to pour in all of the milk into the Ziploc bag. Then you're going to pour in the sugar with the milk back into the Ziploc bag. Now Now you're going to pour in the yeast. It's okay if you spill some. You can just put that into the bowl. Now you're going to pour in the flour.
How much flour going in?
How much was there?
1 cup.
1 whole cup.
Okay. Now what?
And then you're going to squeeze out all the air.
You squeeze it out while I close it up.
And then you're going to close it up.
Mm-hmm.
Then
I'll squeeze out just a little more of the air.
Mm-hmm.
Now what?
Now someone can hold the bag for you, and then you can just mush all of the ingredients up. Okay, now you're gonna let it sit for about 10 minutes.
See what happens.
And then we'll see what happens.
Okay, so it's been 10 minutes. Now what?
Now, as you can see, it actually kind of rose.
Yeah, it got a little bigger, didn't it?
Yeah.
Chemical reactions have started, so now what do we do?
First, you're gonna add the butter. Now for the salt. Now you're gonna add all the rest of your flour.
There you go.
There we go.
So what do we got to do now?
Press all of the air out, and then you're going to just mix it all up.
Now we're going to get a little more flour, dust our table, right? And start, what is it called? When we press the bread, what's it called? Kneading the bread. So you want to take what was in the bag, turn it all around. We call this kneading until it becomes a nice, smooth ball of dough. It's going to take about 5 minutes. And any second now, this is going to turn into a fast forward scene, and it'll be 5 minutes later.
Now we're gonna take our ball and put it into a buttered loaf pan, and then we're just gonna shape it into the ham.
Mm-hmm. And then what?
And then we're gonna let it sit for 2 hours.
Right. And more chemical reactions are going to happen, and when we come back, the dough should have started to rise and fill out the pan. So we'll see you again in about 2 hours.
Okay, now you're going to sprinkle a little bit of water onto the bread. And then you're going to put it in the oven for 35 minutes. I'm going to let my dad do this, so should I take the camera? So we're gonna bake this for 35 minutes. And if you're a kid, always ask a parent to put it in the oven. Okay, now that we took it out of the pan, we're gonna sprinkle a little bit more water, just like that, just a little bit. I think that was a little too much, but it's okay. Now, and then you're gonna ask a parent to put it back in for half an hour.
Well, it took a while, but here it is, our loaf of bread. And to think, this all started out with just a little pack of yeast. Nothing left to do but enjoy. So in today's readings, one of Jesus' stories was about yeast. And today we saw yeast in action. The message of Jesus' story is about how oftentimes great, amazing things grow from small and simple beginnings, like seeds and yeast. Today we saw that yeast starts out super tiny, but without it and all the changes it causes in the rest of the ingredients, we wouldn't have this big loaf of bread. Seeds, yeast, and many other things shows that in time, great things come from small and simple beginnings. And this is true of people too. Like the small seed that grows into a tall tree and gives us oxygen, or the yeast that started out so small, but turned all of our ingredients into this loaf of bread. So too is God's love in each of you, growing you, making you into someone who will go on to do great, amazing things, even more amazing than the things you've already done. So this week, think about how and what small things you can do to make a big difference. Something as simple as a smile or a thank you can turn somebody's bad day good. And then they might go on and smile and change somebody else's day. And that person might smile and change someone else's day. And so on until your smile ends up traveling so far that you've made so much difference in so many people's lives. But it all started with that one small act, your smile. So think about what seeds of kindness you can plant this week. Talk about that with your family, and we'll see you again soon. Thank you.